Okay, this is virtual class video number 2, again for February 28th. It's a virtual class that we're having. This class we're going to be going, this video, we're going to be going over two specific verbs, the verbs ir and ser. Now we all have seen the verb ir multiple times. It means to go. And ser we've seen quite frequently as well. It means to be, with permanent situations, title or family members, characteristics of something. But the problem is when you conjugate these verbs in past tense, not only are they highly irregular, they're also the same. So it can get kind of confusing until you really learn how to dominate them. So we're just really going to review them. You're not going to see these ones on the test. It's a little bit too complicated, I think, for people at this level of Spanish. But again, these are two verbs that you're going to use a lot. So it's important that you know them, if nothing else. And as you continue to progress in Spanish, you'll have time to master them more. So let's go over the two verbs, and we're going to go through and repeat them, but it's going to sound the same. So the first verb, ir, which means to go. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. And we go over to ser. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. So basically what we're getting at here, if I say fui, that can mean I went, or it could also mean I was, depending on the context of the sentence. If I say fuimos, if I just say it like that, more than likely I'm talking about, well, we went, but I could just as easily use that in a sentence and with the context that's meant to imply that we were something, you know. We were firefighters last summer, for example, and I could say fuimos bomberos el verano pasado. So again, we're just going to go over this a little bit. I just kind of want you to get warmed up to the idea of what it is. So we're going to do the same practice a little bit shorter, and then we have a few more things that we're going to work on, or then I have one other thing that I'm going to ask you to do in relation to that. So these will be really easy to put down even if you don't listen to the video. I think the trickier part is going to be figuring out what it is they're trying to say in English, if they're trying to use ir or ser, if they're trying to use to go or to be. So I'm just going to go through and pronounce these each once. And then again, after you're done with the video, you can go through and try to translate it and write down what it is in English on the sentence in the line down below. So, number 1. Nosotros fuimos a la tienda. Number 2, which I'll repeat number 2 because it doesn't have a subject in there. Fueron 3 personas que me golpearon. Fueron 3 personas que me golpearon. Well, that one will be a little bit tricky to translate. Not so much to figure out what one it is, but how to word it in English. The next one. Él fue un miembro de mi equipo aquel verano. Él fue un miembro de mi equipo aquel verano. The next one. Yo fui al partido ayer. The next one. Tú fuiste la persona que me hizo esto. The next one. Fue un partido maravilloso. Fue un partido maravilloso. And the last one. Yo no fui el culpable. Again, you shouldn't have too much trouble writing down which versions you're in there. If you want to, but again, it's the practice, the sound. I strongly recommend, if you've got a little bit of extra time, and I know nobody wants to do any extra work more than they have to, but it wouldn't be bad practice to go over this one, and even video number 1 that we talked about, and go through and practice sounding out the verbs again, just listening to it, repeating, listening into it, and repeating. It takes you 30 seconds. It's something we don't do a ton in class because we have a lot of stuff to get through and try to get some practice in, but practicing these orally can definitely help. For the last part of the sheet, I'd just like you to write down 4 sentences using the verb ir and ser in the past tense, 2 using ir and 2 using ser, just to kind of practice how to use it in the past tense. So you're going to write down sentences like, I went to the store, or we were firemen last year. I was a student 2 years ago. Okay, so remember, we're talking about past tense with this preterite. We need to talk about things that are kind of a snapshot, something you have to have kind of a specific period of time or something I could take a picture of. So for example, if I say yo fui a la tienda, even though I'm not mentioning a specific, even if I don't mention a specific time, I'm still talking about the fact that it was a specific occasion that has a beginning and an end. Even if I didn't specify, I know it was like one specific situation. With ser, you're going to tend to want to use some kind of time frame that's pretty specific if you want to use this type. Because once you break outside of that, you're going to need to use the imperfect, which we haven't learned about yet. So don't worry about it too much, but do your best. And again, it's just practice, just to that way we can go over some of the sentences in class. So thank you, and there's one more video for you to watch, and again, that's just going to be a review of class that we had on Tuesday in preparation, kind of helping you to continue to prepare for the test.